A Note Night in America. Happy Monday night. Thank you for taking the time on your busy schedule to join us. Hopefully you guys are all staying cool in the ACs. It's a record hot one out there right now. We've got some potential hot deals for you to take a look at from the cool confines of your office or home. So, welcome to Note Night in America, guys. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Glad to have each and every one of you on here. We've got people joining us from all across the country. I can see on here already some regular faces and some new folks. Just absolutely always excited that you guys are joining us on here. This is the 13th year in a row that we've been doing these, and you can always catch the replays by going to the Note Night in America podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, or checking out the number one YouTube channel for note investors at weclosenotes.com. So glad to have you guys here. Want to let you guys know before we dive into tonight's call, we do have just under 2 weeks left till our live in-person workshop here in Austin, Texas. It's July 21st to the 23rd, capped out at 50. We're already halfway sold out. We expect to fill up the last part of it here in the next week and a half. This week is the last week to get your discounted tickets before they go up. They go up Saturday morning to a lot more high price with it, but we'd love to have you join us here. Going to go through a lot of great stuff, more of like what we're going to be going through tonight. If you're looking for deals, we're going to definitely go through a lot of them, but it's basically 9 to 5, Friday, Saturday, 9 to 3 on Sunday. So you can catch a flight out Sunday night. Tickets normally to our live workshops are $9.97, but we're running a bump sale right now. I started at $199, but currently I think when I looked at the website, they're $244. They go up by $5 per sale. So hopefully you've grabbed your ticket. To see John Sherry on there. Don, you guys are all RSVP. We're excited to have you guys join us here in Austin, Texas. Like I said, 50 people, not a big class. I like my classes to be about 50 people. So it gives me a chance to really spend some time with you, allow for you to ask a ton of questions, and get that one-on-one touch that I think a lot of folks want to when they come to it in person. Don't want to be just another number. If you've got a question or have a idea about your business or something else, I want to be able to answer those questions for you. So you can get signed up right now by going to notebuyingfordummies.com. That's notebuyingfordummies.com. Get signed up. If your second is $249, if your third, it's going to jump up to $254. So take advantage. It's still 25. It's a 75% off sale normal pricing for you. So take the opportunity to get signed up, and we'll see you in Austin, Texas. So really looking forward to that. But, guys, we've been kind of flooded recently the last couple of days, last week specifically, with some different tapes. I'm working on a tape of 274 assets that bids are due tomorrow. This 100 list came in late part of last week. We had another 92 that came in. I got another 300 notes that are coming in from a fund as well. If you're part of our WCN crew or a monthly membership, this tape and the other two tapes I just mentioned are already in the base camp group for you guys to take a look at. But we went through the 274 tape today on the coaching call at noon with our WCN crew members. And tonight's not going to be we're not going to go through every asset. What I wanted to go through is this is really kind of buttons up with our Monday night call we had 2 weeks ago, going through the due diligence checklist. Obviously, that was a great call. A lot of folks really enjoyed it. Got quite a few reviews on that, quite a few replays of people asking questions and going through that stuff and going through our list. Yes, if you're coming into Austin, you'll have a separate copy of that due diligence checklist for you to take with you, and we'll spend some time going through there. And of course, you're going to tweak your due diligence checklist a little bit here or there for your own personal business, depending on the markets you have or you're investing in. There may be a few things you want to take a look at and add to that, and that's okay. Somebody asked me, well, I do this. I'm like, that's great. That's a great thing to do for your business. I don't need to do that because of A, B, and C. But if you're doing that, that's totally fine. Not a problem at all for you, ladies and gentlemen. So what I like to do is I'm going to pull this up here just to give you a bit of an idea so you can see where this map was taking place. So you have a bit of an idea. Of course, the first things I do when I get a tape in, I go right ahead and I map it just to get a bit of an idea where they're all at. You know what I mean? So let me pull that up. I got that pulled up here. So when I batch geo mapped it, and batch geo is free, just drop the 100 assets in there. You can see where they're at. They're basically everything's east of I-35 for the most part. I-35 is the highway that runs basically from Laredo all the way up through Minneapolis. We'll get a few that are just west of it. You got one in Albuquerque, or north of Albuquerque, one in Oklahoma, and that's about it. But everything is primarily east of the Mississippi for the most part, if you aren't there for you. But the values range anywhere from like $30,000 all the way up to 1.3 million. And the great thing about batch geo is it's kind of color coded depending on the dots. The red dots are the more expensive assets. The orange ones are the next level there. Yellow's the third highest, green's the fourth, light green or light, that's actually light blue, darker blue, and then the light purple there for you. And we'll probably go back and forth this map as we look at some of these assets individually and going from there. But let me pull up the spreadsheet here and we'll dive in there. So literally, there we go. And as you can kind of see, when I get a spreadsheet in, I always like to look at the columns first. So that's the first part I want to go through. Hopefully you guys can see my spreadsheet. Okay, give me a thumbs up. Somebody that they're able to see the Excel spreadsheet there. Hey, Alice. Hey, Alvin, Don, Ed, John, Mark, Orion, Larry. I think Larry was looking around here a second ago. A few others out there. Yes, I am monitoring the chat roll on YouTube. So if you want to give me a thumbs up or say hey to me if you're watching this live on YouTube, glad to answer any questions we have as available there for you. So Don, thank you for commenting. So right off the bat, you have the servicer loan number, column A, the delinquent status. These are all active as far as they're being serviced. The due date, this is the most current due date for the most recent payment. And that's important to look at immediately. Now, of course, the tape was labeled 100 NPL as of May 30th. Okay, so the tape was pulled May 30th. Non-performing loans is what NPL stands for. And the due dates, you can see like 7/21, 10/2019. Let me go down through these 2014. So anything later than 2019, 17, another 2014, 2012 is an old one in there. It's probably New York. Another 2012. So some of these are old non-performing, and some of them are relatively recent, 2022, quite a few 2022s in there. So that's good. That's important to take a look at. All right. You got to know if it's performing or non-performing, how late they are. Some of these are pretty significantly late, and others are not too far. P&I payment is principal and interest payment. That's constant. The taxes and insurance constant if it's escrowed. And then this, they kind of threw a loop here. They don't usually throw these 12 cells at the very front end. They put the last 12 months of cash flow. So you can see if the borrower's made any type of payment over the last 12 months. And I'll come back to that in a second, but that's what cash 1 through cash 12 stands for. Then you have payment history cutoff. Let me pull this over you see May 31st payment history cutoff. Deferred balance, it's any balance that's been deferred to the back end, back payments, taxes, insurance, anything like that's been deferred to the back balance alone. The current UPB on these range from anywhere as little as 10,000 all the way up to 473,000. Okay. So some smaller UPBs, and the estimated legal balance on these range from 16,000 up to 479,000. So you've got some low balances, some high balances. That's okay. Last payment made date. Some of these have dates, others don't. The day since last payment made was 400. They've got some stuff there as far as number of days. Some are blank. The interest rate for the loan. If it was modified, you can see the mod date. Original term, remaining term, current maturity date. If the loan matures anytime soon, my original maturity date is missing on all of those. Okay. If there's a BK flag, yes or no, most of these are all no, if I remember correctly from looking at this earlier. Yeah, they're all non-BKs. Foreclosure flag, no, yes, blank. Some of these are foreclosures have started, others aren't. If there's a foreclosure date schedule, sometimes they tell them on there that the date there. So there's a borrower last name, first name, property address, city, state, zip, county. Current occupancy is all unknown on these. On other tapes, we'll see owner occupied. Oh, there's a few owner occupied on here, or tenant occupied or vacant. Okay. Some of the older BK filings, you can see that we're on here. BK filings, old chapter 13s. Whoops. And then you can see if it's open or dismissed or discharged. You got a few open BKs, which might not be that bad for 2013 that are making payments. All right. And then the property BPO valuation and the BPO date. Now, these dates on here are all relatively, the dates range from 2020 to 2023, but for the mass majority out of these 100, most of them are all within the last couple months. Okay, so if we select, let's just do the selections of years that aren't. See if we've got something in the last year. That's how many is that going to be? Just to get an idea. So out of that, there's 64 in the last year. The other 36 have been within the last 2 to 3 years. So you definitely need to take a look at your BPOs. Now, the great thing is if it's got a 2023, like April of this year, they're going to go off that value as their value. If it's an older BPO, then you have some liberty to pull your own value to kind of make an initial indicative offering. And it's something you want to take a look at. Okay, obviously, don't spend a lot of money on it. Don't spend a lot of time. Just jump on Zillow and get a quick value estimate, what you think value is, and throw that number in there if it's a number that doesn't make sense. Of course, look at the property. If it looks like it's a piece of shit or trashed out, then don't spend your time on it. Okay, so if we go back here, one of the first things I did is I organized it by state and city so we can kind of see how many is in each one. It also gives you an idea to take a look at states that you're buying in. You know, if you're buying in Alabama, there's 5 in Alabama. Oh, actually more, there's like 7 in Alabama, 1 in Arkansas, 1 in Jasper, Florida, Satsuma, Tallahassee, Florida. It's got actually quite a few in Georgia, Augusta, Americus. I might have to take a look at that one. You know, Waynesboro, 1 in Hawaii, Kaunakakai, Hawaii. I think that's how you pronounce it. We might have to take a look at that one. That didn't show up on the map that I pulled. Then you got your obviously obligatory ones in Illinois. You got a few in Indiana, Gary, Middleton, Muncie, Kentucky, Louisiana, 1 in Massachusetts, a couple in Maryland, 1 in Michigan, couple in Missouri, 2 in Missouri, 3 in Mississippi, couple, actually quite a few in North Carolina there, 1 in New Jersey, 2 in New Mexico, a few in New York, a few in Ohio, 1 in Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, and then Texas. 2 in Texas, 1 in Virginia, Vermont, Wisconsin, and 1 in West Virginia. Okay. So this tape is all owned by one seller. Hey, Matthew. I see Matthew join us live there on YouTube. Thanks for coming. Glad to hear you. So what do I begin with? Well, let's look at a couple of things. First of all, I usually slice and dice by states. Okay. So the states I don't want to buy in, I'm just going to go ahead and eliminate those. And those are pretty simple and easy to do in one failed swoop. So I'm going to go down and get rid of, no offense to anybody, but I'm not going to buy anything in New Jersey or New York. I'm also not going to buy anything in Wisconsin. It's just the property taxes are just too high. Just not a big fan there. West Virginia is pretty rural. Where else am I going to get rid of stuff here? I'll look at just about everything else. Oh, Massachusetts is kind of a long foreclosure process. So does Louisiana. I'm not a big fan of Kentucky. I'll look at Illinois. Actually, I'm just going to get rid of Illinois for the most part. If it's in Cook County, I'm going to definitely get rid of it. I may go back, but I can always go back and look at these. But for the most part, that's what I'm going to select. So I'm going to look here. So Illinois, these are the ones I'm going to delete. So yeah, that's Cook, making, cook. All right, yeah, I pretty much don't want to buy in those areas. I might send these ones in Louisville, Kentucky. I got a buddy out in Louisville who buys in Echo Woods. I'd have him take a look at those. But for the most part, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable. Just go ahead and slice and dice in these and get rid of these. Okay, remember, you've got the tape. You have the physical spreadsheet. You can always go back and take a look at those or send them to somebody else out there if you've got an NDA signed with somebody and you're trying to broker those, okay? So I'm deleting those off. Now that leaves me with probably a little better list, right? Select all. That now drops it down to, I got rid of 23 notes, okay? Now let's do this another thing. Let's go back here and resort this, because remember, I don't really want to spend my time on low balance stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and filter this again. I'm gonna resort it, custom sort it. And I'm gonna change this from city state. I'm gonna delete these levels. Delete. And change it from property state to, let's do this. Let's look at, let's do principal and interest constant payment, because I want to get rid of the small payments, right? Anything below 250 a month is not gonna be really worth my time. So there you go, right there. You see, these are small principal and interest payments, $126 a month. Now, let me clarify something here, okay? If I was just gonna be using my IRA, my self-directed IRA, and I was happy with $126 a month, that's fine. You have to remember, you're going to be paying servicing costs of, if it's a performing note, the minimum would be at least 15 to 25. If it's non-performing, you're going to be paying at least $90 a month. So that's going to eat up a huge chunk of your profit there. If it's $126, you got to pay $90. Now, this is not so bad. The due date's only as of June, but and this borrower made a payment, made 4 months of payments, actually made more than that, 126. So basically made 3 months of payments back 4 months ago, but has not been consistent at all. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of those. We're just going to go down to 250. Actually, we'll just take it to 200, leave us a little bit more, and get rid of anything below that. And so where are those going to be at? If we slide over to the city states on these, that's going to be one in Fairmont, North Carolina, Wardsboro, Vermont, Augusta, Georgia, Atmore, Alabama, Baltimore, Maryland, Albany, Georgia, Climax, Georgia. That's got to be a fun place. Birmingham, Alabama, and then Gary, Indiana. Okay, we're kind of fine getting rid of those. All right. All right. Now we have principal and interest is more than $200 a month. Okay. If I'm using other people's money, I prefer that to be a higher amount. Okay. Now let's go over and resort this by your, oh, I didn't mean, I want to leave that filter. I meant to custom sort it. All right. So custom sort it. Let's go back and change this to UPB, unpaid principal balance, smallest to largest. All right, now this is, we're going to go over here. Now we're at, so you see UPB at 10,000, estimated legal balance at 45. All right, so the legal balance on some of this stuff here, 25,000 is deferred. So they modified this. So let's actually go back and change this. Resort this by estimated legal balance. Custom sort. Because that's really, if you've got a lot of equity, that's what they're going to go off as the legal balance anyway. The seller is what you're going to be basing stuff. So let's do that. Estimated legal balance. Smallest to largest. Okay, there we go. Now we've got 18 legal, $20,000 legal. You know, now the great thing about these, if you look at these some of these smaller ones here, if you're using an IRA or you got a small Roth or a rollover, these might be something you might take a look at. All right. Now that, yes, they're non-performing. They got small balances, but if you could pick these up at a pretty decent price, 50 cents on the dollar, it might be worth it, a pretty good ROI for your small balance retirement account. You know what I'm saying? So now that we've readjusted the estimated legal balance, let's go over here. Since we have our BPO values, let's figure out the actually equity dollar amount. And then equity percentage. So on the dollar amount, what we're going to do is just goes equals to the property BPO valuation minus the estimated legal balance. Okay, pretty simple. What's the value minus the legal balance? All right, that's 112,000. And that first one, which is right now, we're going to go over here. Okay, what kind of percentage of equity does this have? And we're going to go, okay, so it's got $112,000 in equity. Let's divide that by the value, 131. That one's got an 85% equity balance on that. So now that we've got those two formulas in there, let me go ahead and clean this up a little bit so it looks nice and clean. And we're going to copy those two formulas all the way down. Control C. So the remaining 68 assets we have, we can kind of see that. Control V. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to put some grid lines in there so it's easy to read. There we go. And now we're just going to take this one column and turn it into a percentage. All right, so all of these, as you can see, have equity, right? So when they have a ton of equity or have equity of any sort, sellers are not going to sell these at 50 cents on the dollar. When there's equity, they probably want you to be somewhere around 80% of the legal balance because there's all this equity above you. Now, I'm not, they might even want you at 90. I had a Seller told me they wanted 90 cents on the dollar of a non-performing note because there was a lot of equity. It was an apartment note, but I was like, 90% is still too steep. There's no room for me to make any money at 90 cents on the dollar, right? So let's just go 80 cents on the dollar. You can always adjust this down. So let's just do this. Let's really quick to run some numbers on here. So we're just going to put 80% legal balance. All right, so we go at 80% legal balance. So we go over here and goes equals to our legal balance again times 0.8. All right, now let's do this. Let's do 12 months cash flow. And actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna wrap this. We're gonna align in format the cell so that it wraps the text. There we go, 12 months cash flow. So that's just going to be, now we know they're not making payments on a lot of these, but some of these aren't so bad. But if you could get them reperforming, that's the whole idea, is if it's occupied and we can get this bar reperforming, it might make sense for us to come along and get them back on track, right? Is equal to that times 12 months. All right, now what we could do is if we go mod ROI, take your 12 months of cash flow and divide that by 80% of the legal balance. This is a good offering to give you your estimated ROI. Now that's pretty good there. 20 on that one, if you get 12 months, if you got the bar back on track, you'd be making a 29% ROI on that deal. Not too shabby. So let's just copy those formulas down. Now, yes, I know if they haven't made a payment in 5 years, you're not getting back on track. I'm just running these formulas down so that we can run some numbers. Of course, we see that they haven't paid in really 3-4 years. You're probably not going to likely get on track, or they haven't paid in the last 12 months. It's more foreclosure. That's the next step. Okay, so don't get bent out of shape. Well, what if they haven't paid? They're not likely. I know, we're going to cover this one day at a time, one note at a time. Sweet Jesus. Okay. All right. So now you see which some of these that make sense to mod and others they don't make sense at all. Like if some of these up here, if you get them reperforming at these 80% and you're making above a 15% ROI, that's a pretty good day, right? Especially some of these that are like open BKs. Those are payment streams that you would be pretty easy to get back on track. Now, some of these that are discharged, no. So let's do that. Let's actually go in here. Now that we have the BK status, let's look at the ones that are open. 1 second here. And we're going to highlight those in green. We're going to go across theirs as these might be potential deals to look at. Okay. Now, if we look at the last, some of these haven't made any payments, but they could be making payments. Let's do one other thing here. Let me go back here. And I was taking the BK12 and just doing them all open again, even the blanks. And we're going to insert a number in here. Total cash last 12. And all we're going to do is we're going to sum these columns up for any payments made over the last 12 months. Or really from May to May. Okay. So we'll see who's made any payments and who hasn't made any payments. There you go. Whoa, this one's made this one made $81,000 payments. It must have gotten a settlement of some sort, or wow, that's pretty interesting. Where's that one located? You don't see that every day. Let's take a look at this one. So this was last payment made was March 15th. Okay, that would have been March for $81,000. You know what? I bet they did a payoff. Why is this still showing up on here? So they go, oh, $600. That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna take a look at that. Is this a BK? Santee, South Carolina. It was a BK chapter 13. It was discharged in 2018. Okay, they got a ton of equity in that one. That one I would put a big yellow flag on there because they've got such a huge amount paid. You don't see that every day. So I don't really waste my, I'll ask about that, but then go on and get some more stuff. Okay. So now you see the ones that have made payments, and those would be the ones I would probably more target for potential. Now let's go back in here. If we resort this, custom sort, and we're going to resort it by cash last 12. Total cash last 12, largest to smallest. All right, 81,000. That's no surprise. That was at the top. But you see down here, you got 11,000. They made an $8,000 payment. Made a payment, missed a payment. They're kind of hit and miss. Caught up. Yes, these are. This one's kind of probably the most common is this one right here. All right, so now what we do, let's go over here. $12 months of cash flow. We're going to say cash last 12. We're just going to have it sort that number. Tabulate format all the way down. So now you can kind of get like a comparative thing, a viewpoint, like, okay, they've made this much in cash payments. So now it cuts it off. You see there's some of these are all probably going to be more foreclosures, right? All these below, these aren't going to be mods. They're going to be the aspect of, hey, we're going to foreclose because there's made no payments the last 12 months at least. Okay. Some of these have made one payment or small payments. Okay. So this one, we're not really worried about. I'm just going to delete this one off because it's all right. So, all right, now you have a better idea. So this one, if they've made $12,000, $11,000 in payments and they only need to make $9,000, that's a really good one to take a look at. It is a BK Chapter 13. They're making some payments. They've got some equity. If I made an offer at $52,000, which is 80% of the legal balance, it'd be roughly an 18% cash and cash return based just on the 12 months. Obviously, if they keep making what they've been making, it might be a high return on that. But so let's take a look at that. This one is in Effingham, 4501 Armfield Road, Effingham, South Carolina. Got a question here from somebody. Matthew asked a question. Could you please explain why the existing holder of the note would allow the borrower to go for multiple years without making a payment and not repossessing the house? Well, they'd have to foreclose, Matthew. So but that's a very valid question. People, funds, institutions, they buy notes and they maybe have a huge portfolio and they're going to spend their time on the higher value stuff. They may also run out of funds and can't afford to foreclose in some cases. They may have a servicing company that's servicing a loan that's not doing foreclosure on them, or they may not spend a lot of time on their own portfolio. Okay. I've seen it. I've seen funds, funds come in, put $5, $10 million buy portfolio notes and then not touch it because they're used to the fix and flip model. Okay. It boggles my mind. But when you think about this, if you buy in a portfolio of notes, you're going to target the most the most profitable notes first and foremost and drag some stuff out. Now they could have bought this from another person, another fund, and they're trying to work it out. And they've worked on it for a little while and they want to get rid of it. Yes, it boggles the mind, but I've seen big banks drag stuff out with foreclosures because they'd rather spend their money on stuff that's going to make them money. All right. They don't necessarily want to buy a low valued asset, foreclose on low valued assets, going to cause them to rehab it and go from there. Not a lot of common sense sometimes on that stuff, but thank you for asking that question, Matthew. It totally makes sense. But that's where we as note investors, that leads to opportunities for us to come in, buy this distressed debt at a discount. 80% of legal balance is below value in a lot of cases, obviously way below value. That's one thing I need to look at here. Let me go in here and actually I'm going to insert a column in here. Providing 80% of legal balance, what is that number? If we go 80% legal to FMV, what would we be buying this as a percentage of value? So 52, divide that by our BPO value. Okay. So there you go. See some of these, Control C, copy it all the way down. And we want to change that number to a percentage. So you're basically buying, you could potentially buy these notes. Let's filter these all again. Filter. So you're potentially buying these at 80% of legal balance. You would be buying this somewhere between 7% and 60% of value. Pretty good deal at buying the stuff at a distressed deal. You're not gonna, you know, that's something. Let's look at it. What's the 7% one is what I want to know, right? 7% down here is this one. They've actually made some monthly payments on this one. Oh yeah, they definitely want to lose this one. They don't want to lose this. There's a ton of equity. Where's this located? This is in New Orleans, Louisiana, 128 Pinehurst Drive. Let's take a look at that. That one's got a ton of equity. Let's go to the map. Let's go down into good old New Orleans. Oh yeah, this is 128 Pinehurst. Okay. Where's our little guy here? Let's drag him over here and oh, they don't map this area. Well, shoot. Okay. That's not mapped. Is this mapped? Nope. Nope. So let's just drop in here and see if we can see across the street. So it's in these, it's going to be in these nice homes in here. That's where that's going to be. Okay. So let's just do a quick search. Just take a look and see what the kind of, it looks if we just Google it. 128 Pinehurst, New Orleans, Louisiana. Images. So this is an empty lot. That's what it is now. That's why there's nothing showing. Yeah. Empty lot and a big lot there. Okay. Somebody's paying on it. All right. Well, I don't necessarily want to own an empty lot in New Orleans. Okay. It's on the water there. I wonder if it flooded. But you get what I'm saying. So let's go back here, go back to the spreadsheet. So that, with it being an empty lot, I don't want it. I'm going to just hit red on that. I mean, that would, okay, there's some equity there, but I don't really want to waste my time on that one. Whoops, let's just go ahead and put that in red, dark red. Okay, so now, but that's what you look at. I mean, you've got some numbers on here, and you can see what makes sense. So let's go over and start looking at some of these. Now, the ones down below here that, okay, you're going to foreclose on, okay? You're going to close on probably a chunk of these. And that's where you got to look at these. Okay, what's the last payment on some of these? So if we go down here, let's do, where's the last 12? Let's go to 0 here. Let's make these over. Okay, so we're going to go over here and look at the last payment on these. So first legal action. See, this one was just modified in April. Last payment made was October. They modified it and they didn't do anything. Last payment date is 10/13. Vacant, empty, empty, empty. So some of these have made payments a year ago, but fallen off the wagon. Over a year, yeah. So those are going to be more your foreclosures. Now, of course, one thing I just looked at by city state. If you look at some of these, I'm probably going to get rid of a chunk of these if they have any like county road. Now, this one here in Mount Pleasant, Texas, let's go take a look at the map because Mount Pleasant is kind of up by Dallas. And might not be a bad area. Question from somebody here. Yeah, I thank you, Alice. Yeah, going to Zillow doesn't always give the correct info. My house and Zillow is still on rented land, and the house is beside still there. I bought the land and the house beside it burnt down. I totally agree. You're not going to always see things, but this whole thing on Pinehurst has not been mapped. I totally agree with that, Alice. You just gotta move on and go from there. All right. All right, let's take this out. Let's go to Big D. Let's see here. Let's move the map over here now to Mount Pleasant. Equipment. There we go. All right, so this is closer to Texarkana. Might be a little rural. Drag our guy over here. Looks like we've got, nope, not mapped. Okay, too remote, you know? So we'll go back to our spreadsheet and take it off. Or I could call an investor and say, hey, I got one in Mount Pleasant. If I know anybody up that neck of the woods, go take a look at it. But for me, for the most part, see, no foreclosure action started. Now, Texas is one of those states that's a fast foreclosure state, right? I would like, well, why hasn't it been started? And, you know, since I take a look at it, but it's almost too remote out in that neck of the woods anyway. So let's go back up here. It's Equipment, Texas. This is 3160 FM 2222, kind of rural too. Go back to our map. Go on, take a look at it. This is in main downtown. Equipment, which is better. Equipment's still kind of a small area anyway. Died at 130. See, there's a BK Chapter 7 that was discharged, so that you just need to do the legal to foreclose then at this point. So let's drag our, oh, look, it's been mapped. All right. Drop it there. Boom. Probably not the right address. Let's go back to our spreadsheet. Equipment is 3160 FM 2225, Equipment, Texas. So they maybe just dropped it. That's probably what they did. They dropped it. The map dropped it in the middle of equipment. So that's the same thing. Put in red. That's when we take a look at it. But I would go spend my time more so on these ones up here that they've been making. You got somebody that's making payments. They want to kind of stay, right? And you're buying at a pretty good equity position that, like, hey, if they don't pay, they no stay. You finish the foreclosure. So like they had Chapter 13 here. They were making payments. It's been discharged. These are older BK Chapter 13, so it's not really a big deal to help to eliminate you from foreclosing now. So let's do this. Let's go look at some of these here. Let's look at 4501 Armfield Road, Effingham, South Carolina. Just going to go over here. We're going to drop the address in Google and just take a look at that way. Oh, look at that. It popped up there. 3-bed, 2-bath. Looks like it's a double wide. Got some photos pulling up on here and street views on this stuff. No data. That South Carolina's kind of a funky county when it comes to. So yeah, it looks like a double wide, probably an acre or more. Yeah. Okay. But the most important thing, I don't know when that picture is taken. Going back to our spreadsheet, you have to start evaluating these things to take a look at. This borrower is making some payments, right? They are, no foreclosure action started. Got 7 years left. Interest rates at 6 are currently 111 days past due. Estimated legal balance is 65. Why is that less than a 72? Oh, deferred balance. You'd want to definitely get a payoff amount on that one to double check that. But they're, yeah, see, they made an $8,000 payment 8 months ago, 1,600, 803. So they've made some payments. What's their, yes, the 803.08 is what they're supposed to pay on a monthly basis. So they made a big chunk They want to stay, but not doing so well. But that could be an easy mod. Go back to the bar and say, hey, what's going on? Talk to the attorney. There's no foreclosure action start. So it's in South Carolina, it can take you about a year to foreclose. So that's why, yeah, you're at 80% of legals at 52. You're only at 33% of the full market value. That wouldn't be too bad. You deduct any taxes off your 80% of legal. Take that off there too. So you might be able to get this at cheaper than that. We're not going to take time going into taxes right now. But that's what you look at. You narrowed these down. Whoa, here's one at 31% if they get back on track. Where's this at? 31%. This is in Satsuma County or Satsuma, Florida. Oh, it's matured. It's already matured. Last payment was July of last year, so they're actually a year behind. They made payments last July, for $2,900, and haven't made a payment since. Well, let's take a look at this. They've all got equity. Because here's the thing. That's why I wouldn't go above it. Because here's the thing. If they sell at the equal, at whatever the legal balance is, let's do this here real fast. So they sell, let's just say your foreclosure profit. If it sells at your payoff amount, so it's equal to legal balance minus your 80% of your legal. So that's the thing. Foreclosing on these, the maximum you can bid at the auction being the bank is what you're owed, the legal balance, right? So let's do this. Let's run that number down there so you can see kind of the difference. Now, this is not including any dollar amounts for your money, money costs. So this could be another one you look at. The foreclosures, you want to make sure you bought at 80% that you're going to get a sizable chunk of change, right? Well, now these get to be pretty small at 80% of legal, like 13,000. That's without your money costs on that deal. Now that, because your opening bid at the auction is going to be the full payoff because it's all this equity above it. So if it gets bid above what you're due, the amount that goes above your legal balance goes to the borrower. Now, of course, if it sells at your legal balance, you take the property back, you're sitting good. No, Fred, as the lender, you can't bid it up to take a high value to take it back. No, because you're not going to take it back. You're only allowed the lender. Now, if you want to have a third party come in and overbid your legal balance, you still got to show up with that money. That money's got to be paid unless you're the bank taking it back. And here's the thing, let somebody else deal with the eviction and the rehab. Get paid your money and move on, okay? So you see the foreclosure profits on there are all going to be about 20% of your 80%. So this would tell you exactly, you take a look at this number and could re-rank it by the ones that have a higher balance on this. Like this one down here at the bottom, where they've got a $30,000 profit margin. Let's look at where this one is located at and see what's the deal with this. It's worth $238. This one's in Baltimore, Maryland, 628 Old Hartford Road. You may get a tape that's like this that's got some rougher assets or stuff that nobody's dealt with, but hey, that's all right. That's the beauty thing about, maybe you don't find a deal on 100 notes. Maybe you look at the 274, maybe look at the 92, maybe look at the 300. That's the great thing about being in our WCN crew is, hey, at least you learn by breaking these tapes down, make some offers, and go from there and realize that you got more coming. The biggest mistake I see investors make or no investors make is they make a bunch of offers on crap they don't necessarily want to take back without realizing that there are more deals coming down the pipeline if they just would market a little bit. Okay, now we're at Maryland. Let's go here. That's a pretty good area in Baltimore. Okay. Yeah, probably so at 238. Let's see here. It's probably going to be not the yellow one. It's probably going to be this one, 238. Yep, that's it. 68 Hartford Road. Corner. Let's go and drop our little yellow guy. Look at that. Yep, that's the house. 62-8 Hartford Road. They got a swim, what is that? A trampoline, 2-story house. Neighborhood doesn't look so bad. They're all kind of those big houses like that. Yeah. Let's go down. Let's look at the corner down here. What's the house look like from this side? Ooh, it's got that big, yeah, that's a pretty good looking house, right? So let's go back to the spreadsheet, okay? So let's look at our numbers. So 6208, 238 property value, our 80% legal balance. So they owe, yeah, so 121 is what we pay for it at 80%. Got 36% equity, okay. Yeah, so if you sold it at auction, you make 30 grand. So let's figure what if you had, let's say you had 10% money cost. It took you, let's see if there's any legal start on this. Probably not. It's referred to an attorney. Okay. Oh, look. All right. Foreclosure sale date. Let's look at these. We didn't forget. I forgot to let's make those into dates. Custom format cells and turn those into dates. All righty. Look at that one. This has an estimate. Well, see, this is, it was a foreclosure start date. Was March 17th. And did I see something else on there? No, that's okay. So started March of last year. That means there could be an upcoming foreclosure date pretty time soon. So that'd be worth something to ask about, right? Loan was matured. 151. Haven't made any payments. Last payment date on this thing was April 15th. This is a COVID default. They haven't made a payment since April of 2020. So that's a foreclosure all day long. And when you make your bid, you find out, okay, when is the estimated foreclosure on this going to take place? Because they're either A, going to come to the table and pay you off, or you're going to take it to auction and you're going to sell it. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to list it for the full legal balance at the foreclosure auction. It's worth 238. Their legal balance is what, again, as I'm going back here, is 151 and some change. So you put a few more months on there, back payments haven't been paid. And so if you're doing it 121 and you're paying, let's just say you got 10% interest from an investor for, you borrow that money for a year, hopefully the foreclosure, you'd find out when the foreclosure date is. If you figure your numbers, 121 times 1.1. So you borrow basically 121 at 10% is 133. You sell it at that number at the 153 and you end up walking away with 20 grand in profits. Now, if they don't, you take the property back. Guess what? Then you sell the property like Fred wants to do. Then you can sell it at 238 and make 100 grand. If you like Baltimore, Maryland. So that could be a potential deal. We'll put that one in yellow. Take a look at. Let's do another one. Let's go up here and see what's the next biggest one. That's only 30,000 profit in that one. Anything else that's bigger than that? Let's look at some of these. 21. I like to see this makes it really simple for me to look at because I like to focus if I'm going to foreclose. I want to be at least $25,000 or greater. All right. Yeah, exactly. That's our note cat, Mr. Mickers on here, who jumped on the screen a few minutes ago. Very vocal, likes to talk with the, hey, don't be chewing on that cord. 20,000, see what's bigger than that. All right, we got one that's 23,000. Let's look at the next one here. This one's in, oh, Concord. That's outside of Charlotte. Okay, 18 Cross Street, Concord, North Carolina. Let's go back to the map. All right, let's go down to North Carolina. Looking for Charlotte. Right there is Concord. Yep. I've bought and owned in Concord before. It's got some rougher areas, but it's also got some good areas too. This one's valued at 250. Let's see what it looks like. Cross Street. That can't be right. Well, it's just giving us the, is it a commercial note? $90, $92, $70. What was our, I'm going to the spreadsheet real fast. Hang on. 18 Cross Street in Concord. So that can't be it. Let's take it out. Did it just drop us down the middle there? Well, let's do this then. There we go. Well, this is Cross Avenue. It's not Cross Street. I don't know if that's right. Might be. If it is, it's a good looking little property. Yeah, it's not so bad. Porch outside there. Yeah, it needs a little bit of work. This picture's from June 2021. And that looks more like Concord. Anyway, so that's a possibility. Obviously, you want to double check and send a property inspection by guy, somebody to take pictures of the property, make sure it's the accurate one on that. But that's a potential one as well. So let's go back to the spreadsheet and go through that, the psychology of that. So looking at this one, Concord Street, relatively faster foreclosure process. It's worth $250. They have $133,000 in equity. You're basically picking up at 53. They got at 47 cents. Yeah, or you're buying it 37 cents on the dollar. You're paying 80% legal. That's not so bad. They've made some payments in the last 12 months. Let's go over and take a look at that. First legal foreclosure action. Maturity date not for another 18 years. Where did the payment? I don't see any payments paid. Oh, that's what they should have paid in the last 12. Oh yeah, 623 times 12. Okay, so yeah, should have been. They didn't make anything. Due date for 2015. So yeah, that could be somebody. You got to be careful about that. 2015, that's 8 years. That might be exceeding statute of limitations. You may be able to only have to go over the last 5 years, not the full 8 years of payments. So you have to double check what that is in the state of North Carolina for statute of limitations. I think the longest is six or seven for anybody, but that would be something to look at. But they got a ton of equity. It looks like a decent property based on what we can tell. Audrey Snow. What county is that in? Let's look at real fast. Cabarrus County. So let's go over here and look at taxes on that one real fast. Go North Carolina. And then we're looking for Cabarrus County, like Cabaret. There we go. Come on. Let's look for, yeah, let's go to tax assessor. And it was Audrey Snow, I think is what they said, right? Yeah, Audrey Snow. Whoa, Audrey's got a few things on here. Oh, these are all years. So they've lived in it for a while. It looks like Audrey L. Snow, Audrey L. Snow. Okay. So let's just do real estate search. Let's do one more time. It just kind of phased out there. Yeah, continue. Come on. All right. Search. That's Cross Avenue. So they have the borrower's name right, but they have instead of being cross street, it's Cross Avenue. So it is that picture of that property that we saw, which is not bad looking property. Okay. So Audrey Snow, yeah. Owner two, Ruth Deal Snow. So maybe mother and daughter. Let's click on it. Didn't give us what I was looking for there, but let's take a look here. Unpaid bills only, sort by newest to oldest. There we go. Search. I love it when they do that. Okay. No records found. Search. So her property taxes are all paid up to date. Well, I don't know. 217, 18, 19. Yeah, there we go. 22. Yeah, 18 Cross Avenue. So she's basically paid up to date. So no back taxes owed. So somebody's paying taxes wants to stay in there. What would you do? Somebody's paying their taxes. They're not making their mortgage payment. If we go back here, and let's say you offer them opportunity to get back on track, what kind of return would that be? So they just started making their minimum payment. So they're supposed to do that's only an 8% cash and cash return. And they haven't made a payment in some time, right? It's like, listen, you can either start making double payments. Their monthly P&I is only $623. So yeah, if you made a payment in 8 years. So either start making a double payment. So that gives you a 16% cash and cash return. Or if you can't afford that, then let's do a deed in lieu. That would be, if you want to take the property back, the property's worth more. It's worth $250. Or sell the property, sell and pay me off in full. And that way you'd still make a $23,000 got paid off in full plus some. Okay. But think about that. That picture of that property, ladies and gentlemen, you could market that. The Baltimore one, that one, you could literally go on here and market this address. Hey, look at this little house. Yes, it needs some work on the roof, but that's a current photo of the property for the most part from June of 2021. That looks like in pretty good shape. Although the thing that does concern me, you've probably got an elderly there in a wheelchair with a wheelchair ramp. I didn't mention that earlier, but it's got a lot of pride of ownership. Looks like it's pretty clean. I'd be like, let's start making payment. If the statute of limitation exceeds state requirement, that's fine. Then you can't go after the full amount. This is one of the things you would check during your due diligence, Peter. So let's say the legal balance, yes, the legal balance of what's owed, but what you can collect is less. You would just fade your bid by that amount. Say, hey, legal balance, all that I can collect on based on the attorneys is not. Let's go back here. Good question. So say, yeah, your first legal action, you got to double check that. They may not be contesting, they may not. So legal balance. So they say the estimated legal balance is 116. Let's say you make your offer at 83 and he comes back like, oh, you have to forgive 2 years of back payments. Okay, so 2 years of back payments, I need to reduce my offer by 2 years of back payments, so I'm still seeing it at $23,000. And you would discuss that during speaking to the attorney, finding out the statute of limitations in North Carolina, what it is. Let's just look there real fast. What the hell? We got Google here. We can answer that question in less than like 30 seconds. Statute of limitations for mortgage debt in North Carolina. Oh, wait, it's 10 years. Oh, no, hang on here. It's 10 years. So you're fine. You got 2 more years. 10 years. Wow, that's I'm sorry, North Carolina does have one of the longer ones. That answers that question. We're good. Exactly. We're good. It's easy as checking that. Just Google in that master tool of Google. All right. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? I don't want to take too much of your evening up, but that's kind of what we're doing. Let's take a look at that. I mean, that's what we're going to spend a big chunk of our time on, is walking you through the process of diving into assets. What do you find? What do you see? Where the numbers make sense, where they don't make sense, where you got to be careful. You know, and that's where you look at the mod ROI. You want that to make sense. If it's occupied, they've made payments, it's a possibility. But this number, like if this one down here, where it's an 8, let's go, like this is a 5% on this one. I'm not going to offer 80 cents on the dollar. I'd go back and reduce my bid from 80% legal down to, if I want 10% return means I'm making an offer at 40% legal. They're not probably going to accept it, and that's fine. This one is where? We're 240. Heath, Ohio. I don't know where that's at, but anyway. But that's what you have to do. You got to don't fall in love with the property. Fall in love with the numbers and make sure that the numbers make sense. Then look at the property and go from. Too many times we're looking at property, we fall in love. Oh, that's so cute. And we get emotionally involved with the asset, which is the incorrect thing to do, right? Don't fall in love with the asset. Fall in love with the numbers, let the numbers work through, and then look at the asset and make sure it makes sense to you, okay? But honestly, in the roughly 50 minutes that we went through here, we eliminated a bunch of stuff. You can still eliminate a bunch of these, but we found by just going back here, the ones you're probably gonna have to foreclose on, if you're just gonna focus on where you're making at least 20 grand, that's going to eliminate a lot of these. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. You'd say that one 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 assets would be the ones I would offer on, because if I have to foreclose, I've got to make sure I'm making at least 20 grand. Of course, I got to run my numbers, make sure if I'm paying 10% on my money, you're good to go. Okay. Now, if you guys have any other questions, once again, quick reminder for those that are live that joined us a little bit later, we do have some spots left in our upcoming Note Buying for Dummies workshop that's taking place in just under 2 weeks. You can get signed up by going to notebuyingfordummies.com. Let me share my screen here so you guys can see that. So I have it open. I thought I had opened it earlier, maybe not. Notebuyingfordummies.com. We are running a bump sale. Tickets are at $244. Right now they go up by $5 anytime you sign up. If you're bringing a guest, yes, it's per person. Normally it's $9.97, but we do have the hotel. Once you are registered, we'll let you know the hotel location. Hotels, nice hotel of $90 a night for those 3 days. All right. So great way. All you gotta do is fly into Austin, book a Uber up here to the hotel. We're on the north side of town. Boom. come in Thursday night, fly out Sunday night. We'll wrap up Sunday about 3 o'clock so you can get your 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock flight, ladies and gentlemen. But love to have you. A lot of great stuff for to go through. Going to bring in some tapes for people to take a look at, make some offers on that are exclusive to the workshop as well. But love to have you come in. Notebuyingfordummies.com. If you have any questions, feel free. That's the discounted ticket. Get signed up tonight, and we'll send you the link for the hotels and in the area here. So any other questions, comments, concerns before I let you go for the evening here on Monday night? All right, Care. I'm glad you great information. Let's get agreed. Do I have Don ask a question? Do I have a general rule of thumb on pricing your offer based on the equity percentage? Yeah. If there's a ton of equity, if there's equity above more than 20 grand, 20%, 80% is usually as low as they're going to go most of the part. Now, that's where I run my numbers like I just did on the spreadsheet, run it at 80% because there's all this equity to see the ones I'm going to spend time on. I'm not going to sit here and fight them to get one down to 50% in equity or 30% in equity unless they're telling me they're motivated to move it. Now, they may be more motivated to move this if they haven't gotten an offer, but that's where I'm going to kind of base my numbers on. And then those that were like at the 20, 20, 30s, maybe I bump it down to 75 or 70. Maybe I can squeeze a little bit more depending on what the sellers tells me. Does that make sense, Don? You can't just go 50% across the board if there's all this equity, and because they could sell it, they could literally take it to foreclosure auction, sell it, and get the full value. There's no reason for them to take a big loss. Okay. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Don. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Jerry, Larry. Who else is on here? Let's see. We got quite a few folks on here tonight. Alice, Alvin, John. Good stuff, everybody. Thanks for coming on tonight. Hope this is helpful. If you're listening to the replay on this, if you're listening to the podcast, you can catch the actual video on the WeCloseNotes.com or WeCloseNotes.tv YouTube channel. And if you're watching the replay on the YouTube channel, make sure to comment, like, and share, and we'll see you guys at the top, everybody.